we want to make sure that people are all getting here, and we feel that it's important for us to do an acknowledgement of our ancestral lands. So Mark Daniels is going to do a little acknowledgement of the land that we are standing on.
Aloha! I'll just shout. If that doesn't work, if you can't hear me, like raise your hand or something, okay? First of all, I just want to take a few breaths myself and get ready for this moment. I'm really grateful to be here. And I'm grateful that I was really privileged and honored to be asked to do an acknowledgement of the land and of ancestors too. I'm going to do this a little shorter. I had a chance to do this yesterday too. But since we probably want to hear from Tin Man, I'll do it shorter than I did then. But first of all, just as I look out to see the sunshiny faces out here, and in many ways I feel connected to you all, and I'm really grateful for that. I'm really grateful to have people who I know and care about, and who are part of my life and my family's life. So I say it from that space too, and I want to share with you a little bit. I didn't write an acknowledgement up. I've done that before, and I'm glad that people use those in different organizations just as a place to recognize, the place where they're at. I wanted to share, though, a little of my own story because I think it connects us very personally with this land and with the experiences of people who've been on this land and some who were forced to come to this land, actually. And so my name's Mark Daniels, and I'm a member of the Compassionate Heart Sangha of Vermilion, this wonderful community of people, family, practicing mindfulness, practicing engaged Buddhism. And what I really love about engaged Buddhism is, I remember hearing the Dalai Lama once say this, he says, do these things. He said, don't do these to become a good Buddhist if you're not a Buddhist, but to be a good whatever you are. If you're a Christian, or you're a parent, or you're a brother, or whatever you are, that's the intention and purpose of that. And the Buddha was a human being. And in these ways, we're all Buddhists. We all have that place to grow and be enlightened and to be able to really love and connect and live in those beautiful, mindful spaces. So let me just briefly tell you a story, and then I'm going to sing a thank you song. Isn't that drum wonderful? That was gifted to me, that drum was. And I just really love it. And I'll pass these around. This first picture, that's a picture of my great-grandmother. Her name was Josephine Wilson. That was her English name, and that's her sister, Ellen, next to her. She's on the left, my great-great-grandma. And she is buried in the Walt Hill Cemetery, if you even know where that is. That's about 70 miles from here, probably. If you just follow the river down 70 miles, you'll come to Winnebago. and that's where the Winnebago reservation, she was a Ho-Chunk person. That's in the language, Ho-Chunk, meaning people of the big voice or of the sacred voice. And she's buried at the next town down, which is Walt Hill, which is on the Omaha or the Omaha reservation. In a wonderful Catholic cemetery there. If you turn in the very first road and you go up to the top, there's a big old marker that says Nash. And that was her married name. My great-great-grandpa was French and African-American. And so you get to see in these photographs a little bit of this changing time. She was born in the second half of the 1800s. And it was a time that was great change for a lot of indigenous people, particularly in the Midwest and west of us. But others too. I mean, lots of Native people on Turtle Island. And so this next picture you'll see this is the Nash family. So that's Grandma Josephine and Grandpa Albert, the French African person in the front there. And then I think there's 11 children. There were 12, but one was lost at an early age. But you'll notice something different about this picture in the last one you saw as it goes around. You'll notice the dress is quite a bit different. And then here's a picture of my great-grandma and my great-grandma. So this is my grandma's mom, the young person here. And she's also buried there, but she was originally buried in Fort Duchesne, Utah, where my parents grew up on the Ute reservation. And then her mother died the same year she did. She died fairly young, having her third baby. And when her mom died, not too long afterwards, they exhumed her body and buried her in the family, Nash family plot. And so that's Viola Nash, and then Viola Nash Hurley. This is my great-grandpa, Emerson Hurley, and Viola Nash, and that's my grandma, Melba. And my little 14-year-old carries her name as a middle name. And Grandma Melba was born in Fort Duchesne, Utah. That's a long ways from here. But her mom was trained at the Carlisle Indian School. And if you know much about that school, it was a place where Native kids were sent from all over, far away. When you think of the distance from here to Carlisle, Pennsylvania. And a general, I think it's a general, colonel, some sort of military, I forget, Pratt was the guy in charge of this place. And it was an old military barracks. And when they brought the kids there, these were the progressive people. These were the people like, what can we do other than kill Native people to, help them nourish them and have a good life. And so the mantra there was to kill the Indian and save the man or the person. And so literally when they walk in, they were stripped and their hair was cut and they were put in the clothing of the main dominant culture, taken from the things they had known all of their life, the languages they had known all of their lives. And they were forced to speak English too, and they were punished if they didn't do those things. And they also were forced. We sit in a place, of Christian worship here, and they were forced into Christendom, and not with choice. And then they were taken far from their families. Can you imagine having your kiddos if you have kiddos, or if you just on your imaginary mind can think of having your kiddos taken usually against your will, thousands of miles away. And these kiddos growing up without their parents, without their villages, without their people, without their language, without their ways of knowing and understanding the world. the very identity they had, you know. And so when my grandma Viola came back, she was trained as a school matron, and so she took a job on the Ute Reservation, the Northern Ute Reservation, and that's in Fort Duchesne, Utah, where my grandma was born. And so you see just in a couple of generations the shifts that happen there. And I'm just going to tell you one more short story. Before Winnebago, Nebraska, our Ho-Chunk people, and I know I have one other Ho-Chunk in the audience. Raise your hand, Ho-Chunk. I'm just a half-chunk. That's a Ho-Chunk. But our people, we'd already been moved like 4 or 5 times, different reservations in Iowa. We're from Wisconsin, and the lake there, and we were put on different reservations. And the one up at 1862, we were kind of close to Mankato, and we had crops in the field. We were pretty cooperative with those who were kind of telling us what to do and sort of pushing us around, and we did those things, and we built lodges, houses to live in, and had families and had animals. And the Dakota War of 1862 happened, and some young Dakota warriors were kind of pissed off about what was happening to the lands they had, and so they got into it with some of the settlers, and people were killed, and the cavalry was sent in, and they arrested over 300 Dakota men. Almost all of them Dakota men. And then they wanted to execute them. And so they sent that. It had to be approved by the president. And Lincoln was the president at the time, and when they got the approval back, 38, they were okay to hang 38 of them. And so the day after Christmas, what an interesting thing in a primarily Christian group of people, was the day they decided to do that. And they built a gallows that could hold 38 people, and it was a tall gallows because all the townspeople came to watch that. And the warriors were singing their death songs, and they, one time hung 38 Dakotas. That's my understanding of the largest execution in the United States history. And if you go to Mankato, you can find it. You have to kind of search for it. And a lot of us probably didn't learn about that in our history books either. It's not something. And that wasn't the worst of it. That was really the beginning, because what they then did is the people of the Minnesota Territory decided they didn't. The settlers of the Minnesota Territory decided they didn't want any Native people there. And so they made all the Dakotas. So many of them walked. Sisseton, Wahpeton, in our state, those 2 reservations of Dakota people. Some of them were sent by steamship and rail cars, and then steamships again, 2,000 miles down the Mississippi, across Missouri on railroad cars, and then up the Missouri to Crow Creek. And a month after the Crow Creek Dakotas arrived, our Ho-Chunk people arrived. They did this. They were forced to do the same thing. Just show up at the landing there, leave everything you have behind, and overcrowded onto these steamships, given half a cup of flour. And on the voyage, many of them died, and then they end up in Crow Creek, South Dakota, 2,000 miles later, about a month's time to travel. It's about 300 miles, I think, a little less than 300 miles by land. And then they were put with people that they had already kind of worked out deals with. They weren't people that they were necessarily got along with real well, but they had lived in peace with the Dakotas. But they were put right together. and they were mourning the loss of their people. The Dakotas were mourning the loss of theirs. And they were put in a place that wasn't very hospitable. There was no food. They starved to death. All the young people, the old people died. And our Ho-Chunk people, in the secret of night, they had sent some people south to where the Winnebago is now. The Omaha people live there, the Mahas. And the Mahas said, you can come and live with us. And it's a much more fertile area if you've been there. And so after being there for some months, they built canoes, dug out canoes out of cottonwood trees and rafts. And they literally pushed off after they had those together in the middle of the night under gunfire. And they floated down to where Winnebago, Nebraska is now. And some of them went back home. I mean, that's already a distance to go from there to Wisconsin. And so now there's 2 Ho-Chunk tribes, and we're all related. We're all connected to each other in Wisconsin and in Winnebago. And so my great-grandma, Josephine, the one I showed you in those first pictures, that was her life. All of that was her life. And, imagine making choices and decisions to, like, abandon everything you know to integrate, to assimilate, And so when I think of the loss of ancestors, and the connection to ancestors in our land, I think of that. I mean, they literally traveled. We know the Missouri probably at that time was even, down at Cotton Park, that's in Missouri. They literally went up that and went back down that. And the Dakotas, Santee, others as well. And so I like to share that. I know it's kind of different than how you often hear a land acknowledgement, but these lands, are Lakota, Dakota, Nakota relatives who lived and still do live on these lands. Our Omahas, they were all the way up in Sioux Falls and down to past Omaha. This is their lands. They have a really small parcel of that now. And I like, to think, too, of all the other places we might come from, our European ancestors. I have them. I remember my son Dylan, 3rd, 4th grade, they send home a big circle on an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, and they say, put all of your, ethnic backgrounds in there. Where did your people come from? And I think there were 11 different, pieces of pie in there for Dylan. And I also I am mindful, because I had, I've got this dominant culture, white ancestors, indigenous ones, and African, all inside of me, all of these places. So I'm really mindful of that too. And so this is kind of an interesting song to sing as it relates to those stories, but one of the core lessons we've been learning with the blessings of Tinh Man and Thich Nhat Hanh, if you know him, and so many other Buddhists, is that the lotus, there is no lotus without mud. So we've all had really difficult experiences, and it's in gratitude for our ancestors that I want to share this in whatever ways they were doing, because I have a sense that each of them was doing what they thought was best, what made most sense to them. And so I'm going to sing a thank you song. I'm going to sing, usually I would sing 4 verses, but I want to sing 2 at the beginning, and then I want to sing 2 at the end, when we're finished up with our questions and stuff. And so here we go. you to stand up. I'll say mitakyase, meaning all my relations, we are connected to all things. I hope.
Obviously, lots of suffering. So, I am very honored to introduce Tin Man, who is with us today. I've gotten to know his heart, a lot about his life, his path, how he came here, and it's really interesting. Actually, he made the decision at age 19 to leave when he was a layman, as he said. So now he's a monastic, and that's been 36 years, we figured out. He came to the United States when he was 16. And he had the opportunity to study and be at Plum Village with Thich Nhat Hanh. And he has had this monastery, and it's really interesting for me to find out how robust this is. I didn't really know much about it until Mary Lynn and Eileen moved here. It's Dharma, Compassionate Dharma Cloud Monastery in Morrison, Colorado. So those of us who are in the Sangha are really excited about making this connection. And so, of course, we've had a lot of adventures here with the snow, and we didn't have water in the church yesterday for a while, but we've kind of just flowed. That's the title, right? The river flows. So it is really my great honor to turn the program over to Tin Man. I want you to know that this is being streamed, and it will be on YouTube. And so we will be using mics at the time when there's a Q&A. Okay? So, all right, I'll turn it over to you.
Hello everyone. Hello my siblings. I'm very honored to be here this weekend, practicing and be with the Sangha compassionate hearts of Vermilion. So our temple is also compassionate Dharma cloud monastery. So somehow we relate. Marilyn and Eileen have been practiced with us. They came out here and with Lana from the Sangha. And I just come out here to support them and to do some sharing. So I'm very honored and very pleased to be here and see all of you and have a little bit of sharing of the practice here this afternoon. So I want to sing you a few a chanting before we start. I'll start my sharing. So I recite in English, and I have recited this morning, and then I chant in Vietnamese, so you have a variety of tastes. Okay. So enjoy. Reciting and chanting, I invite you to enjoy the breath, the presence, bring your body and your mind together in this moment here. And we're all very blessed to be here with everyone. So every moment for me is a blessed moment that we're still healthy, we're still able to see things around us, love our relatives, our family, our communities. It's a blessing. So I will share with you some kind of bless in my sharing. So I will read this first and I'll recite. With body, speech, and mind in perfect oneness, I send my heart along with the sound of this bell. May the hearers awakening from forgetfulness and transcending the path of anxiety and sorrow. Ba nghiệp long thanh tịnh rồi lòng theo tiếng chuông nguyện người ngã tịnh thức phước thoát nẻo đau buồn. listen to this wonderful sound of the bell. Bring me back to my true home. Long, long and long, long tiếng chuông huyền diệu đưa về nhất tâm. How much the Bodhisattva of deep listening and great compassion. Thank you, friends. So I just want to chant that to go along with Mark, to share with that the land that we are blessed to be on this land. As I walk the path, I can see and I can feel that the land that we stay here that have a lot of love from our native friends. So in the teaching of the Buddha, wherever land that we can, we should take that with gratitude and bless the land with the ancestors. So we don't do anything to damage that. So the teaching of the Buddha is very go along with that practice and that spirit. You know, the Buddha was when he was a princess, so he go into forest, and you know that, and he was practice ascetics for six years, and connect with the tree, with the land, with the people in the forest, yogi. And then he, after 6 years ascetic, he couldn't find the path. That he said that to himself, if I abuse my body, then there is no way that I can get enlightenment when my body is sick and die. So he stopped ascetic and he sit meditation, and he stopped the ascetic and go to the Ganges River and take the bath. So tonight you can see the sun bath by one of our friends tonight program. So he go to the Ganges River and take a bath, and he was passed out when he was so much hungry, passed out, and then there's one of the girls came to feed her some milk, and he slowly start to wake up and have some energy. And then day by day that girl bring him milk, every day, and he sit in meditation under the Bodhi trees for 49 days before he got enlightened. So that's a little bit, I just want to relate to what Mark said. So the Bodhi trees, so now is going to become the place, the pilgrimage place that most of Buddhists go to as a pilgrimage, and I've been there also. So I just want to relate that the land that we are here, so that there is no separation there. You see that how much we relate to land wherever we are, and with that respect. So thank you, Mark, for sharing that yesterday and even here at the ancestry. And we know that in the Buddhist practice, we call blood ancestry, blood ancestor, and then spiritual ancestor. So everyone here, we have the roots of blood ancestor. Doesn't matter where we're from, Europe, Asia, or here. We all have blood ancestor. And we have also spiritual. Here is spiritual in this place. I've been walking around quite a bit here. I enjoy the space, and I've been thinking about people who many, many years have come and put a lot of works in this place. So we come later, sometimes we don't see that, but unless we practice deeply, we see how much efforts, how much love, how much care that the people who walked before us, came before us, had this place for us. So for me, always just one step is always with gratitude and appreciation. That's how I find joy in my life. Whenever I walk into the place, and it's amazing, like structure, things like that. And we can see, if we practice meditation deeply, we can able to see and make that connections. And we appreciate and we respect the place. So when I came here, I see that, walk around and make connection, and see the spiritual, the love that the community have. And that's so wherever we go, we want to make that connections and appreciate that. So once again, thank you for the Sangha here, the compassionate heart of millions. It's beautiful Sangha name, right? So that is a little bit of that. So I just want to share you this a little bit on the teaching of the discourse on happiness. And this is discourse that to Buddha one night, the Deva. You know what the Deva is? Deva is angel in the scripture. Angel came down at night, and Deva or angel, they have a lot of light, radiant light, and shine the whole grove where the Buddha and the monastics was. And this angel come down, and they asked the Buddha a question. Came down and to the place where and pay respect to the Buddha and asked the Buddha this kind of question. I just want to share a little bit of you. And they say, after paying respect to the Buddha, the Deva or angel asked him a question in the form of a verse. Many gods and men are eager to know what are the great blessings. So this is the Buddha, which bring about peace and happy life. So we all want peace and happy life. Right? So this angel also, even though they live in heaven, but they want more peace, more happy. Imagine that we are here, we want more happy, peace and happy ourselves. So this is the Deva, the angel asked the Buddha, and this is they want to know how to live a peaceful, happy life. So please give us some blessing, some answer. So this is the answer of the Buddha: not to be associated with the foolish ones, to live in company of wise people, honoring those who are worth honoring. This is the great happiness and great joy. So he said not to associate with the foolish one. So who's the foolish one? I will ask him. And to live in a harmony of wise people. So for me, the foolish people is people who create a lot of suffering for themselves, for other people. Right? We live in life. There is people like that. They create suffering for themselves. They spread that suffering to the other people. And who's the wise? People. The wise people is the people that know how to live moment to moment with joys, happiness and joy. And everyone can do that, I think. So if we look deeply, just take one step and I appreciate that step. I enjoy that step in that moment. I'll be there with that moment, with that step. And we have happiness. And for example, wise people, you see an ant on the step. You don't step on that ant, right? So that's wise. You don't commit some unwholesome action. That's wise, right? You see life and you respect even the ants under your feet. With awareness, you see, oh, there's an ant there. When we're kids, we don't do that, We see some insect, we step on and we tear their wings, butterfly, right? That's not wise. So, right? So wise people, anything that they do that bring peace, joy, happiness to themselves. And they want to share that happiness and peace to other people. So that's wise, right? So for me, that is very important. And then in a community, in the group, that people come to sit, to listen to each other. That's wise, to share and to collectively learn. So like this morning, we sit in a circle, everyone have a different story. Right? And I learn a lot from each you that share the story and support each other. I think that is very wise, right? Come together instead of divide each other. Come together. So that's wise. And unwise pull us sometimes, for example, we was young and we want to be in peer pressure. We take drugs, we drink. That's unwise. That's fools, right? That kind of circle. That, for me, that's unwise. Right? And we have done that sometime in our life. Right? We want to find a path, we want to belong somewhere, belong to a group, and sometimes we connect to that kind of group of friends that drinking, taking substance, drugs. That's unwise to our body. That's unwise to our body. I've done that to myself when I was 17, 16, 18, I was a group of that. And after that, when I got drink, I said, I got 3-day headache. 3 days. That's unwise. And I tell no more. That's wise. And I step out of that. Even my friend come knock on my door, I say, no, I got so much headache after I got drink. I don't know you have that kind of experience. It's get me 3 days, to get over the headache of drinking. So that's unwise. But I was lucky, I was able to get out of it, just try, and it's not working for me. So sometimes we make try and error. We create some pain, suffering, And one time that I was at the airport, the guy was trying to sell me the white substance, small pack. At the airport, in the restroom. If I would get involved, I was not unwise, right? Cocaine, right? That's unwise. So I say no. I don't want to get in trouble. Yeah, that guy was bold, Yeah, it's in the restroom, in a small bag. White, I think it's cocaine. Yeah. So sometimes we make that kind of decision, get involved into those substances that take away from our peacefulness, our happiness. So the Buddha say is, you are wise, you should be associated with the foolish one. And you should be in a company with wise people. And wise people here, the more you practice, the more you go through life, you have some insights, some wise, in that. The more, if you have the practice, become more wise into that way. So the next line, they say that to live in a good environment, to plant good seeds, to realize that you are on the right path. This is the greatest blessing, right? To live in a good environment. When I came to Vermilion here, I think it's a good environment here. I don't know whether you know it or not. It's not too traffic, it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes to get around, make a connection. That's a good environment. Imagine that you live in Houston, you live in California, San Jose, or I was in San Jose for 4 or 5 years. And every morning I get up 5 o'clock or 4 o'clock. So I do my chanting, I do my practice, and then I cook a meal for me to bring my lunch to go to school. So I start out, I have to get out of the road before traffic. It's at least 2 or 1 hour traffic. So I normally get out of the temple around 5. So I get to my school about 6 or 6:30. So living in an environment like this, I think is very nourishing. And then you have a group of people, communities, people that come to share the practice. That is a good environment. It's very, and that's as you planting good seeds. So yesterday and today we have been calm and meditate, walking meditation, sitting meditation, sharing meditation. That's a good environment to live in. It's very nourishing. You have a peaceful neighbor. And I was thinking you gotta have a college student here. You should open that to a college student and invite them into, to do the practice of sitting. Students quite stressed. You all been through, and I've been through. There's a lot of stress, a lot of pressure. So if they're able to have half an hour, just sit down and enjoy the breathing, be with themselves, with the body. You plant that kind of seeds to our young. When I was in school, I don't have that kind of environment. And maybe you too. But now we do better. Plan a good environment to our students, our children, allow them, plant the good seeds for them. And that is what we need for our country, for our communities, right? And that's very important. We provide that environment to our students, to our young people, and to our children. And they are a continuation of us. It doesn't matter what, continuation of our country, right? So that is a good environment and plant seeds. And we also, every time that you make a step, when we walk in meditation, and you make a step with peace, with ease, in yourself, you are planting seed. Normally what I do is I say I take refuge in, so in Buddhism there is 4 immeasurable mind practice. 4 immeasurable mind practice. And the first one is compassion mind. So what I do is I walk and I take refuge in compassion. I take refuge in compassion. So that way you plant seeds in your consciousness, in your step. And the second one, compassion, love and kindness, is the second immeasurable mind. So I take a deep breath and I say, I take a refuge in love and kindness. So instead of that, you thinking some others, sometimes negative things come into your mind, make you very intense. So you walk like that and you are planting seeds. So everything that we do in the Buddhist spiritual is planting seeds. Doesn't matter what we do, every moment of every thought that we give rise to is planting seeds, right? So you say, I take refuge in compassion, I take refuge in love and kindness. That you provide an environment for yourself, and you provide yourself with wholesome seeds in that way. And day by day, we call the law of attraction. If you have a lot of compassion, you have a kindness, you attract people similar mind, like-minded. So just like I'm coming out here because we have that kind of longings. So that's why I come to South Dakota. For me, I never been here. This is my first time. And people ask me, where are you going? I say, South Dakota. I say, you sure? I don't know. I say, my friend said, you know that there's South. It's very plain. What I say is, if your heart is full of love, it doesn't matter where you go. Your heart is full of compassion, it doesn't matter where you go, you make connection. So right here, when I came, I make connection to all these friends right away. We fall in love with each other in the practice. So that's the seed. And then your attitude, your behavior, connection. So that's what kind of, you provide yourself with an environment like that. Wherever you go, you don't feel bored, I never feel bored in my life. And say, somebody would ask me, "Hey, sometimes you feel bored?" I said, "No, I don't have time for that." Because you have full of this, how can you have time for boring, and depressed? Your heart is full of love. You provide yourself with that environment at all times. And then slowly your mind, your energy that you got, attracts people like that. So instead of take refuge in beers, and drugs, sometimes we take refuge in those to numb ourselves, right? In our society. That's the way we take refuge. We numb ourselves in drugs, substance, beer, all that. Because to replace that, you have to have something to take refuge. You feel bored of your life, you want to numb that sadness, you want to numb that loneliness in yourself. That's why you take that. When I was a young guy, it's the same thing. That's how I feel, To occupy that, numb yourself consciously and bodily, you abuse yourself. But a lot of us do that to ourselves, right? So if you are in a good environment, take refuge in compassion. And compassion have no limit. And love and kindness have no limits. That's why we call immeasurable mind. You can be measurable. And the third one is I take refuge in sympathetic joy. So every movement, every step that you take is a joy step that you take. Sympathetic joy. You understand the pain of your own. You understand the pain of somebody. And out of that pain, you understand, when you understand it, you feel happy, you feel joy. You understand your pain, your emotion, your sadness, and that's joy. So sympathetic joy, right? So when you make a step, you do the walking meditation, and you say it to yourself silently, I take refuge in sympathetic joy. And you secret that kind of energies in yourself. And you make yourself younger. You beautify yourself. Yeah, when you happy, when you joy, you automatically beautiful. Like me, they say every time I go, you look very young. But young in my heart. Right? So when that, and the cells in your body is very happy, and you don't get sick very easy. You get happy cell, you don't have a toxic cell. Then you are very healthy, right? So the joy that you have, so that's a good environment. That's what Buddha said. That's good environment. So we have to provide that such environment of healthy environment, that wholesome environment, to plant seeds for ourselves and for the people around us, for our family. And the four immeasurable minds are equanimity. Equanimity. You remove your discrimination, your judgmental. You see everybody with the eyes of love. There is in the Sutra of Universal Gate that the Bodhisattva that I just mentioned, Avalokitesvara, the Bodhisattva of compassionate and deep listening. And there's one sentence that says, Sáng cho người niềm vui. In the morning, you offer people joy. Chiều giúp người bớt khổ. In the afternoon, you relieve the suffering of people. That's in the sutra. In the morning, because you have joy in your heart, so you want to offer that joy. In the morning, I offer joy to people. In the afternoon, I help people to relieve their pain, their suffering. Sáng cho người niềm vui, chiều giúp người bớt khổ. So when you have that in your hearts, that you find your internal environment. Everywhere you go, you provide, you create that environment. So like Marilyn, Eileen, they was in Denver, and then they came out here. They carried that with them, and they formed the Sangha, and they make good friends. Lana, all these good friends come together. You know, that energy pull people together, right? That energy pull together. So that is the good environment to live in. So we monastics, we like to go on retreats, and when on retreats we meet a lot of people that like to go on retreats. Long retreats, short retreats. Sometimes in the tradition we have 3 months, like Prambhalas, we have 3-month retreats. 3 months, yeah, as monastic. So in that environment, we've been heal ourselves, make good people, you know. So live in a good environment, to have planted good seeds, to realize that you are on the right path. You're on the right path. The path of love, the path of compassion, the path of joy, the path of freedom. Equanimity is freedom. Liberation, freedom. You free yourself from stereotype, from judgmental, from discrimination. And your mind become open, called receptive, right? Receptive. So that's the bless. So I invite you every time you have the chance or have time to do walking meditation, and recite that. I take refuge in compassion. I take refuge in compassion. Day by day, you train yourself in a wholesome new habits. Wholesome new habits. And then that's become a habit, so every time you take refuge in that. So sometimes we take refuge in our families, in our parents, our friends, things like that. But this is the quality, this is the energy that you take refuge. And that energy is energy of God. That energy is the energy of Bodhisattva. That energy is the energy of Buddha. And this Buddha, God, is God within you. It's your own energy. You have that capabilities to be your own God. You are enter the realm of God's heaven in yourself. And we have that. We can do that. That's a reality. Right? That's reality. So when you study the scripture or Bible or teachings of the Buddha, we try to put that in our everyday, we call Kung Fu, everyday practice. Kung Fu. And you digest the teachings. Otherwise, we will be constipation of the Dharma. I use the term constipation because we become dogmatic. I use the word constipation in the term that we not have the capabilities to digest the Dharma and become Dharma. We caught in the teachings and we are constipated in our thinking, right? In a way of treating people. Right? So you have to do that. So you want to be a silkworm. Silkworm, they wrap themselves around when they produce silk. And what happened? They eat leaf. right? And they produce silk. Same thing with us. We listen to the teaching and we produce compassion. We produce love and kindness. We produce sympathetic joy. We produce, generate freedom. Just like a silk that eats leaf, and then they produce silk, right? So in the Buddha, the Buddha give that example for us. Yeah. So, and when we produce silk, what? We are become wise people. Yeah? Wise practitioner. Yeah. Otherwise, we are constipated, the Dharma constipation. I see people like that. You know, sometimes we practice and we constipate, we say, oh, I know a lot about the teaching, and we become egocentric. Constipation. That for me is really constipation, you know, because we think that we know everything and know the Dharma. I think we become egocentric, and people are very difficult to get around us, right? Get around us. And we have less friends. We don't have many friends. So once you practice the Dharma, you should have very soft and connect to people, and we become a Dharma friends. And I use the word Dharma friends or Dharma siblings. You know, Dharma friends or Dharma siblings, we all walk on the path of truth. Dharma here is the word truth, authentic, honesty, integrity. And we become Dharma siblings, and we respect our friends as they are, you know, because we all have that capability to change ourselves, to wake up, to walk the path of joy, the path of kindness, the path of freedom. And when we know that, that's why I saw it this morning that when we have put our first hand together and right hand together, body and mind together in oneness, to pray and bow down with humble and respects the friends, whoever they're in front of us. Yeah. So may you be the enlightened being to be. Wake up that nature. That's why in Buddhism, every time we meet our Dharma friends, then we just join our palm and lower head as a way of paying respect and humble. And that for me, and really humble for that, it means you are really digest the Dharma. And that is part of we call non-self in the Prajnaparamita Sutra. Non-self. And non-self is the backbone of Buddhism. You know that. It's the backbone of Buddhism, is the emptiness of non-self. And when we bow down with humble, with selflessness, we are part of that energy already. And then we become a wise friends together, walk on that path. In the next version, Buddha say that to have a chance to learn and grow. So in the yesterday and now we have a chance to learn from each other and to grow in the practice. And each one of us have some sense of that. Come together with not very fearful each other, you connect each other and share, openly share. Sometimes we are very afraid of sharing in the group, right? Because of fear of public speaking. And we try to, that's why when I rule in circle, I try to make everyone have very comfortable, bold enough to share and to speak up. Right? That kind of grow. Public speaking, group speaking, like that. We learn together, we grow together. To be skillful in your professional and craft. Professional is you take one step and you learn yourself. You become very professional in the steps. And craft, we learn. practice practice the training in loving speech, mindfulness training in loving speech. So when we share in a way that we very mindful of our speech, our language. So we use in language in this way that nourishes, that healing, not language that destructive, that provoke angers. That's right speech, loving speech, mindfulness training. So in the energies, in that mindfulness speech, we know what we're saying. We say in a way that so we don't try to provoke trigger the wounds of other people. Right? And that is loving speech. That is trainings. And the next version is to be able to serve and support our parents, cherish our own family. Is a blessing. To have serve our parents, support our family, and cherish our own family is a blessing. You know, sometimes we lost our parents very early. For me, I lost my mom when I was 3, but I know that my mom is still in me. You know, because I carry 23, what? You know, 23 what? In your body. Chromosome, you're right. Thank you. 20 chromosome of your mom, 20 what? 23 chromosome from your dad, right? So your dad, mom, even my mom passed away, but I still carry 23 chromosome of my mom. So if I live happily, I live joyfully, I serve people. That's my mom. I do that for my mom. Even my mom passed away, she's happy. She knows that I'm the continuation of her, right? So that kind of look deeply. And we appreciate that. So I appreciate that kind of teachings. So if not, I say, oh man, I'm lonely in the world. I don't have my mom, and start self-blaming, right? Self-pity, right? But I say that, oh, my mom give me so 20 chromosome with the attitudes of, you know, very open, very easygoing. And I know that my mom is in me. You know, I care her. Easy, loving our neighbor, you know. I heard that. I don't know my mom. I don't have any picture of her either. But I heard my neighbors tell that, oh, your mom is this, like that. And I carry her, right? So support our parents to live a healthy life. Is support our parents. Don't abuse ourselves. You support our parents. You know, every parent loves their children and want the children to become the best, something, become a person that can benefit for the world, for everybody around, right? Our parents, you all parents, you know that, right? And children. So to support our parents, many ways to support them, you know. Be with them, give them a call, you know. When you're away, say, Mom, you know, and make connection. So in Buddhist tradition, our parents, the Buddha say that when there is no Buddha, then our parents Buddha. The Buddha say, when there is no Buddha in the world, your parents is your Buddha. And that's for me, I feel that. You know, our parents like Buddha, like Jesus, like God, you know, to us. And cherish our family. And it's a blessing to have a family, right? It's a blessing to have a family. I have 9 siblings. 9 siblings. And one of my siblings become a monk also. We have 2 monks in the family. You know? And I will cherish that. We have 3 monks, but 1 monk disrobed. Oh. You know, and we have 2 left, so still okay. So have a family, make connection to your brothers, to your siblings. It's always a blessing, you know. And my elder sister, son also a monk. Yeah. So that when I'm the pioneer, so all of them just follow me. And have first cousin also monk. What we do is influence our family, people around, and our family, right? So cherish your family. And when you have this, the foreign marriage or matter, that's the important gist to understand this here. You have the mind of love, and you have compassion for your family. Every time you call your family, you laugh, you smile, So yesterday I shared with you Sangha. Sangha means to sing and to laugh. Sangha is the Sanskrit word Sangha. But have different meaning. It's funny when it says Sangha, I was thinking, to sing or to sound. And then ha is to laugh. And that's when the Sangha, you come, you bring joy with each other, smile. And when you have a really deep smile, you feel relaxed. You feel connect, right? That's where the Sangha, where's the family? When we connect with your family, you sit with your family, you laugh with your family, you laugh with your parents, smile with your parents, joy. That's a bless. For me, it's a bless. But in order to have that bless, you have to have the internal bless. First, otherwise we always very grouchy. We call, first 2 minutes you're able to speak, but the last 2 minutes you say, oh no, I couldn't able to listen. There's like that communication block, right? Because you not cherish that until when they pass away and say, oh, I didn't have time with them. I never spent a good time with our parents. Regrets. But it's too late, right? It's too late. So you have your parents, please cherish them. Spend time with them. The Buddha, they are like Buddha. The Buddha say there's time that no Buddha appears. So your parents is Buddha. And you all children at the same one time, now you are parents, right? That's the cycle of life, right? So if you cherish your parents, your children will cherish you. Because what go around, come around. That's the tip of life. What go around, come around. You cherish, and your children observe how you behave, how you treat your parents. They don't say it, but they know, they observe that. I see that. They observe how you treat your parents, respectfully, mindfully, lovingly. And that's how they will treat you. There's a story. There's this very quiet, rich young man, and his parent was ill, and for a long time. So he's got very sick, very tired of taking the parents. So one day, he asked his parent, in China or Vietnam, they have to, things like carry on. The two sides, you can carry it one side to another side. And they say, the son say, Mom and Dad, today I want to carry you to the mountain. So that we can see beautiful view on the top of the mountain. And the children was up there, what he's doing. So because he's tired of taking care of parents, he wants to dump his parent and end their life. So the children say, oh, Dad, you do like that to grandparent one day. I will carry you on the top of the mountain. I will let you see all the view. See, that's go around, what come around, go around. Because the children didn't know about that, You carry the grandparents to the mountain and, let them see view, and then say, oh, I would do that when you are not able to walk. I will carry you on the, and then what go around, come around. See? And that's the story I read. Yeah. So please, our parents are like treasures. I don't know what you think about like treasures. My father took me on a boat to U.S., and he would pass away in 2014. So I spent time with him, and I was a monk. And he's very afraid of cremation. He said, it's too hot. he wants to be buried, he don't want to cremate. But in the Buddhist tradition, cremate is better for non-attachment. So a lot of time that we attach to our body and we're not able to move on. But in the tradition, Indian tradition, they mostly burn, cremate. And it's better than bury. So I want to have him cremate when he was alive. And finally, the final day, he was in hospital, and I arranged everything for his funeral and everything. And he said, now what do you want to do? It's up to you. When he was still healthy, he said, I said, Dad, what do you want me to do when you end his life? He said, and you want to cremate or you want to be buried? I say, I want to be buried because I'm very afraid of hot. You put me in that spot. And then, on the his last day, and he said, okay, you do whatever you need to do. You wait for me. So he released his attachment. But I still have his ashes. And so what I'm saying that is our parents is like treasures. Support them, and it's a bless to have that, take care of our parents and support our family. And the next verse it says, to live honestly, generously in giving, to offer support to relatives and friends, living a life of blameless conduct. This is the greatest happiness. So to be honesty is part of the truth. The universal truth is to be honest. And when we are honest in our heart, you feel at peace with yourself, right? So honesty is part of the truth in life. So if we live an honesty life, we always feel at peace in ourselves. And friend will trust us, right? Wherever you go. You have a lot of trust in your circle of friends, in your family, and to be generous in giving. Giving here, that means you giving your time. For example, all of you come here for the last yesterday, today, is generosity. The moment you make a step with peace, that's generosity to the earth, right? That's how I can see it. You don't have to have material to give, to share, but you share your time, you share your energy. The moment you make a step with peace, with love, with care, we are very much generous to our earth and to the environment. And that for me is a spirit of giving, spirit of sharing. So for example, you all come here, you share your time, right? You give the time here. It's generous the time. Sit down and allow me an opportunity to share with you. It's generous. Look at that. Right? The moment you see a piece, broken glass on the street, you pick it up, put it in trash. That for me is the act of generosity. You see a nail on the street, you pick it up. Nobody knows, but you are honest with yourself. The practice is to know ourselves, to understand ourselves, not to. Yesterday, Michelle was sharing like ego fishing. You don't act. You want other people to recognize and to praise you. And the ego wants to do that. Ego fishing. So the practice of mindfulness is to come back to understand our own mind, our own action. You don't need nobody to actions of channels. You don't need nobody to know. But the earth know. Right? The earth know. This is the story when the Buddha was at the Bodhi tree before he got enlightened. And the Buddha said that I have done so much work, so much practice, so much, I fulfill my generosities. And Mara, You know what the word Mara means? The demon. Say, who witnessed that? Who witnessed that you've been doing generosity, you practice the mindfulness training perfectly? Who witnessed that? You know who? Who? The earth is shaking. That moment, the demon asked him that question, who witnessed you are very purely in your precept, in your training, in your actions of generosity? Who witnessed that? In that moment, the earth is shaking. So whatever we do, the earth witnessed that. Silence. So I read those stories, give me goosebumps. So in us we have demons, fishing, Mara, you know. So every act that you do, you know. And that is part of honesty with yourself. So every step that you make a step with peace. The earth knows. You don't need body. And when you practice that, you become authentic to yourself. For me, that's kind of important. The act of, for example, when you sit meditation silently in your room, nobody knows. But you know. You're authentic to yourself. Right? And when you practice that, your practice improves so much because you are making effort authentically with yourself. You understand that. I do this for my own peace, for my own happiness. And that in that moment, you have self-confidence, self-trust on the path. Right? And you have that right. You have that control. So you don't wait somebody to tell you to do that, right? If you have kindness in your heart, you just see a broken glass, you see a nail on the street, you just automatically pick it up. See a trash on the streets. If everybody do that, we keep our community clean, right? And we are in a good environment. See, that's when we should treat our children like that. That's good. If you see a trash, pick it up. You see a broken glass on the street, pick it up. You see a nail, pick it up. Treat your children that. Right? And when they're growing up, that's how they behave, how they live their life. And that is a blessing. So if someone, when you was young, if someone really teach you that, you have that skill of living. Right? And that is not something dogmatic, it's not something religious. It's a way of life. It's a way of living. It's a way that we treat our environment. And we treat our environment, we treat ourselves that way. And that's, for me, is a blessing. It's a blessing. Sometimes in school, we don't teach, I don't know whether you teach our kids like that. So when at our monasteries, we have high school camp, we have middle school camp, and that's what I teach them. I share with them. When you go home, if you see your room is dirty, just go ahead and clean it. First thing is when the room is clean, you feel happy. You feel joy. The first thing you feel joy, your room is neat, clean, you enjoy that first. And when your parents come home and say, oh, you're a good kid, you behave. Our parents happy. You happy first, you enjoy. So I told them, if you see the dish in the sink, washing up the Buddha. We don't wait until our parents to remind us, oh, you have to do that, and it's become authority imposing you, right? And you don't like that. So you clean out, mess up, whatever. And we treat kids like that. For me, it's living skills. Right? It's a living skill. And that is part of the Dharma, is live in a way that neatly, from inside out. So wherever you go, you have, for me, when I sit down and I stand up, put chair in right way. So nobody have make another effort to put a chair in, right? And that we call self-enlightened, right? Self-enlightened. If you stand up, we go anywhere and everybody just put the chair out, it's look not very nice, right? And then someone have to go and do that for us. But if you are self-awakening, self-awareness, and we do that ourselves, and that everybody can do that, right? It's the same thing we come to a retreat or come to a party or whatever. Stand up, how we sit down, we want to stand up and leave before. It's just like that. It's so that we are very mindful the way about we live our life. And that is, and we call the teaching is the way of life. It's not something dogmatic, it's not something religious. And wherever we go, we live like that. And the way that we live is a blessed. Always is a blessed. And then we meet good people. So you come to a house and then after you leave the house clean. Welcome next time. But if you leave our mess, no more next time. One time. You know that. We all know that, right? You come to your friend's house and you make a mess and you leave. No more next time, right? No welcome. But if you come to your friend's house, have a party, help them to clean up neatly before we leave. The first thing is we serve ourselves, respect ourselves, and respect our friends, right? That's how I always tell myself. The room after I leave, I want to groom that. How I come, I should be more clean after I leave. And that we call awareness, mindfulness, and always a blessing. So that's what I want to share with very basic things in life that we live. So we want to have a happy life, a blessing life. And that's how this is the teaching that the Buddha shared with the angels, how to live a blessing life, a marriage life, and like that. Let me see my time. I don't want to go over your time. Q&A? Yeah. Now it's 4:30. Yeah. Q&A. So I want to leave a little bit of time for Q&A so that Elaine, there's a question.
Could you speak a little bit about no self and emptiness?
No self and empty. Okay. That's a hard question. Yeah. No self and empty is that from the teachings of the Hot Sutra, from the Hot Sutra. Self is emptiness. Emptiness is self. Form is emptiness. Emptiness is self. So that's a teaching on the discourse of Hot Sutra. And I have shared with you the 5 skandha. Forms, feelings, perception, mental formation, and consciousness. And that form the feelings. So, for example, when we have, when someone insulted us and we feel insulted, right? So that, who's feeling that insulted? The self, right? So when and then we know that the self is, feeling is part of the self. Form is the first one. This is physical body. It's called form. Feelings is we feel pleasant, unpleasant, mutual. And form, feelings, perceptions. So when we look at people with different eyes and eyes of, underestimate on eyes, that part of the self, right? And mental formations, the actions, and consciousness, the way that we perceive things. All that five make up the hips, aggregates, skandha, is that part of the self. So in that five mental formation, five aggregates, which one is the self? So this self here is coming from all that form together to have a self, right? So that's a little bit example in the Hot Sutra. So I'll give example for this sanctuary. So we call this sanctuary, but this sanctuary is made up of many things. The table, the chair, the light, all of that is from a sanctuary, and we can call it self. But each of that is to make this sanctuary, right? So the same in our body. Fire, earth, air, winds. That the Buddha said that make up this body and the consciousness into this body. So when we pass away, when we die, where is the self? Go. So this is complicated questions here. It's complicated, really, it's a philosophy questions that you can read. In Buddhism, we can read 800 verse, 1,000 verse in the Hot Sutra, Prajnaparamita, to just only to break up this notion of self here. So, but too easy to answer for that question is just imagine that a river that flows, and in that river, so many things to make up that river, right? The river, imagine that river, that we flow. Water, dirt, all that paddle in that river. So if you really, so this is my recommendation for you to really, so if I explain it, it might be more confusing for you. So you read the book on Thầy Thích Nhất Hạnh. He's explained it very short, but very clearly on that self. But in order to have, to understand, we have some kind of self here, a self. So everyone have a self, doesn't matter what, in the conventional. But ultimately, there is no self in the teaching of Buddha. It's just only we call universal knowing. Universal knowing. You know everything. When you reach to that point, you know everything, but not the self. So the self, that's where we have the most suffering because of the self. But when we realize that universal, in Hindu, they call Atman, universal Atman. And some of you might study the Veda, we call big self. Đại Ngã is the big self, universal. But else, when you really meditate, you just only, when yourself is all subside or resting, but you still know. And that we call universal knowing. And that only way to liberate ourselves is to understand that universal knowings or pervasive knowing in the teaching of the Buddha, omniscient. Is the Buddha have that character, omniscient, to know everything without. For example, when I look at Michelle, I know her like this. But without any label, I just know, right? I know she have a brown hair, black jacket, but just know that. Just recognize, barely just recognize, oh, I know. Without let the self label into that. And when the self, then discrimination, stereotype, that's what happened in the society we live in. Judgmental, stereotype, discrimination, all that is based on the self. But if we look at, everybody just know, oh, Marilyn just Marilyn. I don't have to describe that, but I know that she have a white hair, she wear a black shirt, thing like that. But let her be as by, as it is. Just know. We call bare knowing. Just know, observe, and know. That's it. And then you have freedom. Just know. We have to know. With this arrow, if I walk in, I bump into the chair, But I know this is, so I know the path that I should go. Just know it. So part of that, I just want to. But if you really understand, read the book on taste, explain on that. Hot sutra. Okay? Thank you, Marilyn.
Thank you for coming and sharing with us. When I sit by the river on a nice afternoon in the summer and it's very quiet, it's not so hard to be mindful. When you're facing a challenge that's direct and easy to define right in front of you, there's a tiger in the room that wants to eat you, it's easy to be mindful. Frequently in the past few weeks especially, it's felt like there are so many threats. Every time you focus on one, there's 3 more behind you, to ourselves, to people that we care about, to ecosystems in the world, to systems that keep us safe and stable. So some guidance, I would appreciate some guidance on how to seek and hold mindfulness when there's so many threats and they're all around you.
Thank you for that question. Thank you for that. I think it's, a lot of fear and a lot of fighting in our country right now. And it's hard to handle that. But for me, I look at that differently. I know that's a time of challenge. But the best thing I can do is go back to myself and practice walking meditation with love and kindness. Just instead of giving out the energies of rage, energy of anger, energy of disagreement. We can do that. That's your choice. But for me, I choose the path. I come back, I say, why don't I give more out energies of kindness, loving, and healing, so the earth can know that, and everyone do that, and we come back. First thing is we're not angry with ourselves. We're not toxic or with all this toxic stuff. We bring in our consciousness to our body and our mind, right? And the more we think about that, the more we get angry. And we're angry and we give out that energy, and that is toxic to the environment. We breathe out that. And we walk and we let that energy to the earth. So first thing is I do is I come back and I want to make a change in myself first. Different way of looking at that. So we're angry with that person, with their policies, that stuff. You have that right too. But take action with more loving. I share with the group, yesterday that we all come together, write a very loving letter, not insulting. The more you insulting in a letter, it's not going to work. Blaming, condemning, it's not going to work. So come together, write a letter, and then send, and that person will sit down. He might not read right away, or she might not read right away. But if the secretary were to read that and say, oh, it's a beautiful letter. It's all about how to work together, how to make our country better, how to love our country. And if he or she read that letter, say, this is a beautiful letter. There's a lot of concern for our countries, for our people, for the world that we live in, for our children, for our education system. And if you have the power in your hand and with your heart, you should reconcile for that, right? If someone writes an insulting letter to me, I'm not going to read, right? But if someone writes a loving, very dearly, very caring letter, I will sit down and read and see this person is not a destroying, destructive letter, right? So the best we can do is collectively, everyone sign a letter with real love, concern for our country, for our people, for our nation, for the world. If you are a leader, you should be able to take that in your heart and reconsider about decisions, about policies. It was me, if I, he might not read right away because of ego, egocentric, losing face, But at night, he by himself, he by himself, he will read that letter. Because this is beautiful, this is a letter I should take into and look into that. That's how I look at that. So the first thing is to protect ourselves first. Don't poison ourselves with whatever is outside. Poison our mind, poison our body. When you piss off, when we're angry, we poison ourselves. It's right. And then when we poison ourselves, our thinking is not very clear. Our thinking has become very negative, very poison. Right? So the Buddha said, you have to be wise to yourself. Have to be wise. That's insight. That's really practice. That's wise. So if you're really concerned for the safety of our country, for the love for the environment of our country, that's what the way you should take action. Not be passive. Take action, but action in a way that loving actions, caring action. That's how I look at that. My teach that at that. So first thing is not to poison ourselves. Second thing is take action with authentic love, care, concern. I think that will work. We have people, our leaders, Dr. Luther King, Mahatma Gandhi, all that leaders have done. We call the action of non-harm. Our leaders have done that, and we are here. And many people have benefits from that, our children, our generation. So we have great example, Mother Teresa, all that. So we have so much great living example for us to take action. So you have that right to act, but act in love, in care, in concerns. So we don't feel so much fear, so much intense, so much rage in our heart. And that will not do any good for ourselves, for the people around us. So we can, as community, we can come together, and a lot of insight will put into that, and outside that, and we'll make change, collectively. Enough people raise their voice, enough people to show concern, care. They will change, change peacefully, not change with destructive. So that's how I look at that right now, Yeah. So please take that in your hand and take loving actions with right speech, loving speech, and we can do that, And out of that, we will learn a lot, For example, the war in Vietnam. Without the war, that Thich Nhat Hanh will not have a chance to go to the West and share write a lot of books, write a lot of teachings to benefit, So we have great human, great hearts, great people will come out because that challenge is going to produce some, good heart people, for our communities and for our country. And in that turbulence time, we see who is really hard for the country, hard for the people, in that. So please, so we have that great example. Modern Dr. Luther King, the Dalai Lama, Mother Teresa, all that great example, Gandhi's, all that great example of how their work affect the world and affect our life, affect our lives, right? So we'll have some great human being come out boldly with kind of loving actions. Yeah. So thank you for your question.
This question was about forgiveness. to give forgiveness, how to receive forgiveness, or just forgiveness, both? Okay.
So the question?
Is on forgiveness.
Mm-hmm.
Giving, to forgive
Mm-hmm.
or to receive forgiveness.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what is the Buddhist teachings on
Forgive
forgiveness?
and forget. In order to forgive, you have to forget. So I think that question is related to wounded. Sometimes in life, we have a lot of wounds from our walk of life, our journey, from marriage, family. We all have that, some kind of wounds in our heart. For me, is the first to forgive that people cause real pain for you. Is to love yourself first. If we harvest that hate in ourselves, we'll toxicate ourselves. But sometimes speaking is different. But walking that path and take real action is not easy. I understand. So in order to love yourself, you have to forgive that kind of pain. Forgive here, we still learn the lesson, right? We learn the lesson to grow from that. For me, I was born before the war, Vietnam War, so there's a lot of things that I witnessed, a lot of death in my village. But if I'm not forgive, I cannot be here, for sure, because I see that a lot of soldiers do things to our village, to our people, right? So in order to heal, you have to forgive. First thing is for your own healings, for your own freedom. You have to know that. But doesn't mean that we just forget. We learn the lesson to do better. If someone do pain for us, harm us, we learn the lesson not to do that, to retaliate. If we retaliate, we harvest more pain and suffering. So in our society, we make a mistake. Everyone has to make some kind of mistake in our life, right? Sometimes very terrible mistake. And some people done that to us too. But in the teachings of the Buddha, that in order to liberate yourself, to free yourself, you have to able to transform that, to change that. In my life, I have some of that story I don't want to tell in family. But I learned to embrace because my father, I was the first marriage and my father remarried. And then now a problem comes. A lot of things. But I learn, I don't blame, I don't condemn. But I put myself in their situation and learn to love everybody and to grow. So if you have a lot of pain, it's always a good lesson for us to forgive, to let go, so that we can grow. We have the space. Otherwise, we keep that. All that is poison. Toxin and poison. The more you give, you rotting your consciousness. You rotting your heart. That's what it is. But to transform the change, that's not easy. Every day you make a step and look deeply. Ask yourself, is it help me? Is it help my life? Or does it help the other person? No. Both. Day by day, your heart is dying. Your heart is rotten. If you keep that in yourself, you block in your path. Has become an obstacle to your path. And that is like mud. And you learn from that, make that into love. And we call no mud, no lotus. It's like that. You have to turn that into love. into strength. All that. Without mud, there's no beautiful lotus in Buddhist teaching. And all that's like mud, real mud. And don't let that sink our heart, rocked in our heart, rocked in our mind. And then you have to learn, let it go, and grow stronger. It's very important. We learn from that lesson, and we don't want to take any retaliations. Because we take retaliation and we keep our heart, we block in our path. We toxic ourselves, right? So, but you have to look deeply. You know, that person also in pain and suffering, they are not that. That person is the victim of their own already, right? Their own victims, victimize themselves. And you are just only the second arrow, according to teaching, the only second victim. So that when that person have that pain that in you, cause that pain for you, and it's unforgettable, that person is their own is a victim already. They don't have that freedom, they don't have that. But you are wise enough, you can step out of that and let it go and move on and learn to love, learn to transform that. That's always. We all have some kind of thing that in our life. Sometimes it's in our sleep, and we don't want anybody to see it, right? That's normal. So forgive, but learn the lesson. Let it go and grow from that. Just like mud, just like trust, just like garbage. Without mud, you know, there is no mud, no lotus, no compost, no flower. So you have to learn to be, you know, from that to flower yourself, make yourself stronger, wise. That's what you get wise from. So that's why the Buddha, in the first teaching of the Buddha, we call noble suffering. Noble suffering. Why is it suffering is noble? You have to ask that question. The first noble truth is noble of suffering. And that unforgettable is kind of noble. You turn that pain, that hate, whatever, around to make that, turn that into authentic love. Authentic change. And that becomes normal. You know? So that's why I say that I witnessed the war when I was, by the end of 97, 95, 94, 93, I see all that. But I come to America, and if I have unforgettable moment, I cannot be around with our Western friends, right? Because it's so much in the head, you see that. But that will toxic me. I'm the first one to be a victimized myself. And really difficult to make friends with our Western friends. But for me, you all are my brothers, siblings, you know. We have to learn with the eyes of the Dharma. That's important. Okay? Yeah. Thank you. So how's our time doing?
Said something that was really like amazing to all of us downstairs about, and it relates to loving difficult people. Would you tell that story about that you had to love the most difficult person?
So in Promulus, when I was Promulus in 1997, and for us to be a Dharma teachers, to be qualified to teach, and my teachers, and they say that, in order for you to qualify to be a Dharma teacher, you have to live with the most difficult person and love them authentically, then you're qualified as a teacher. Because as a teacher, you will be encounter many different levels, different people on your road. Not just only kind friend or loving friend, but there is many different levels, different kind of people, different mindset. So we was trained to live and stay and practice with the most challenging, unlovable person. That's one of the, and I call him or her the bodhisattva, unfavorable bodhisattva. They're unfavorable to us, but they're bodhisattva. They try, if in order to grow, you have to challenge yourself. And in the sutra, during the time of the Buddha, Devadatta is the one most challenging the Buddha. Many lifetimes, not one lifetime. And the Buddha said that because of Devadatta, I become a Buddha. Every time he born into a human realm or everywhere, Devadatta born with the Buddha, and always make difficult challenge into Buddha, divide the Sangha. And the Buddha confirmed that because of him, I become the Buddha. He challenged me every time, everywhere I go. Divide the Sangha, rolling big boulder over the Buddha, try to kill the Buddha. But the Buddha still loved him. He said that he will become a Buddha. The Buddha affirmed that he will become the Buddha. See? So there is people in us, in our life, that is very unlovable, very difficult to love. When you hear their names, goosebumps already, fires already in our head, right? But if we have authentic love, you say, okay, that person is very in pain and suffering himself or herself. That's why he's saying that. That's why he does that. That's what in his mind. So that's why he's there. That. Right? So when you have that, and you slowly either release that kind of mindset of retaliation, doing things that not very skillful. Right? So there's many unfavorable bodhisattva out there in our life. There is. You have to know that. And you just recognize that and say, okay, I'm okay with you, If I'm not go along with your, you have your path, I have my path, I don't have to be, you don't have to be my enemy, and we don't have to be a man, You have your own path, your own journey. I have my own journey. We respect each other. That's all. And I have met that on my path, and we all have that. So if when we have immeasurable mind of compassion, we're able to look at that, and we can have an insight. We understand that person is very in pain, a lot of suffering in him or her, and then you give rise to sympathetic compassion, sympathetic kindness. But saying that, we have to practice every day. So every day, as I say, take a step. I take refuge in kindness in myself, in my breath. You have to practice that in order, when situation arises, simultaneously, you have the insight, right there. And then you're able not to interact, not to take action in that emotions. So you have to get yourself ready. That's why you meditate. That's what you do. All that, you prepare yourself. You have always have this energy in you. So when such events arise, situations arise, you have that insight. You have the energies right away in front of it, and you don't react. You understand the situation right away, and you have very clear vision of that, and make the situation easier. Instead of, you make the situation worse. If you have that energy, you there, the situation, take care easy. You say, you don't act upon your angers, your emotions, your anxiety. I have to tell you a story. Last year, I went to a retreat in Canada, Edmonton. And then suddenly we have 1,000 practitioners in our retreats. And suddenly the storm come. And we have a big tent, about 10,000 square feet tent. And all is the storm. Break it up and put it down. And people step on each other, and people, blood everywhere. And one person died instantly on the spot. And it was in front of my face. And that moment is The only thing is to be calm and compassionate, because the situation is so chaotic. Everybody's crying. So much, like 42 or 50 people get seriously injured internally, externally. 5 hospitals with airplane, everything. Killed 1,000 people in that. So in that moment, we have calmness, we have love. So the situation, a couple of us who run the retreat, we're able to hold the container to everybody. It's like war. In that moment, it's like war. People run and step on each other because everybody was afraid of dying, because the storm is so quick. 150 or something kilometers from, just in 2 minutes, everything's collapsed. So in that moment, what I'm saying is you always get ready for that kind of situation. And at night, I went to 5 hospitals, to depend on what kind of injuries you are, they divide into, they send you to the different hospital, and the blood. So in that moment, compassion, calmness is only way. And the situation, everybody trust in you, trust in, the leaders, that you do take care of the people with love, with care, So every day I go to hospital just to visit and assign people to take care, 5 people for one group like that, for the thing like that. So it's love and care is always in our hearts. So when things happen like that, we are ready, in that situation. And one person or 2 persons calm, the situation totally different. We'll take care of everybody, in a way that everybody feels safe. So your authentic love, your immeasurable mind, and that is not something dogmatic. It's not something that everybody have that seat, but we have to train ourselves. We have to visit that. We have to live that every day in our everyday life. So I have so much trust in our country. We have so many good people. 1 or 2 will not do. But we have so many good hearts, so many bodhisattva. We have a lot of unfavorable bodhisattva, but we have a lot of bodhisattva. We have much more bodhisattva than unfavorable bodhisattva. So you have to know that. Yep. Yeah. So sit here, you see that we are here. We have the heart of that. You see how much I trust in that, in the people. So we are lucky in the Democrat. If you are in the communist country, you have no voice. I live in a communist country, and I know. But we are in a democratic country. We have that right, we have that voice to come together to make our country better. Safety for everyone. We have that right. So, the 10 Commandments, all of that, we have that. So, so I trust that we can do, come together and make people together feel safe and love and care for that. Yeah. So that many countries look up to us to do the great things. So the unfavorable bodhisattva just testing us, testing our strength. It's always happened like that. So on the path you walk, there's things, obstacle. But the more obstacle your path is, the more stronger you are. And this is in any tradition that have that, have that. So please, that's what I examine, look around, observe, and I have never lost the trust that we have so much bodhisattva around, And this is in the sutra, in the Lotus Sutras, the Buddha have described that. Certainly, all the Buddha, all the bodhisattva from the ground rising up, but they're nowhere in the sutra. Bodhisattva, a lot of bodhisattva just rise up in his assembly, and they said, "We are here to protect the people." In the Lotus Sutra. So I believe that we have so many good hearts, so many good people, and so please,
by Tin Man for coming all the way out here and experiencing our little village that we have. And
We have many bodhisattvas here.
And I do have to say that we have a little donation thing back here. If anybody feels like putting a couple bucks in there for, we are paying for his trip, and there are some expenses, but I don't know. I just want to thank everybody for coming. I know so many familiar faces here, and I'm just so happy. Of course. And thank UCC for opening this beautiful space for so many events like this. So all right.
Thank you all the people, everybody here, and thank you for giving me the time to be with you. I just want to be your friend, that's all. And we can walk on the path together, share the joy, the challenge together. So the challenge always make us life tasty. So I always tell myself that, you know. And so once again, thank you, the Sangha of Compassionate Heart for Millions. And thank you to our friends tonight that came and allowed me to share with you a little bit of what I learned, what I practice. And I want to make that offering to every one of you. And may all of you have peaceful in your journey. And even though there is obstacles, but that obstacle will make you grow stronger, make you more mature in your individual, on yourself, and you're able to enjoy the path and have a good family, environments, and communities here. So I believe that there's a lot of potential here, because I see that there's a universities close by, and if we have a good Sangha, and we can open up to our students and invite them into some practice, and offer the space, and our love, our care for our students. So I see that a lot of potential here, and I see that you all have good hearts, good people, good communities, very easy to get around. That's what I like, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I live in Denver, where I would go, I live in mountain, I go down to the mountain, take me half an hour. Go to the airport, take me an hour something. It's far away. But here is a lot of convenience and a lot of potential to have a Sangha and a group that light-hearted and come together and share and practice. Especially the praise that our Unitarian Church here that are very open and welcome, the space for us in yesterday and today. So we very take in our heart and appreciate. And thank you for their love, for their openness. Yeah, so thank you.
Before you leave, we want to, as a voice for our Sangha here, voices, and in the ways of our ancestors, we want to honor you as gratitude. And so give us just 1 second, and we're going to
and one joy Kelly have been sharing me, so it's good for me to remind me of joy.
So in these beautiful ways, one of the ways we honor our friends, our siblings, those who give to our community, those who give to the people, I'd like to have you stand up.
Oh,
We'll wrap you in this quilt.
Oh,
Start.
it's my robe. Native robe. So as we have some robe, but
And we will wrap you. And I'm going to sing the last 2 verses of the thank you song as a way to honor you. And what we do, we'll have everyone come up and circle to this side and come through, and you can shake his hand and
group picture.
Huh?
Take a group
Well, they're gonna shake your hand. Each one, we should have a group picture after, that'd be awesome. So, I will sing a song, I will maybe even end the song before we're done with that, but just circle around from that side.
Yeah, I want to make an accent with you so that we can have a picture together. You don't mind?
Yeah, sure. All right.
So please come up and just be around and take a picture, group picture, if we can. Yeah. So please come. Dear friends, dear friends. Let me tell you how I feel. You have given me such treasure. I love you so, all of you so. Okay? Dear friends, let me tell you how I feel. You have given me such treasures. I love you so. Put your hand in your head. Pop, please. Dear friends, Thank you. Thank you very much. Maybe we'll have a beautiful afternoon together. Okay, so any announcement from my friends? Either Marilyn or Lana, any announcement today?
Simon tomorrow we want to talk at the library.
Yeah, we're gonna meet at 1 tomorrow.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.